Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Historical Commission and the Historic District Commission meetings. We are meeting jointly this evening, Monday, December 13th. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Can I get a roll call, please, for the Historic District Commission?
Jason Bouchard-Naraki, present.
Connie Stoll, present.
Rick Mancini, present.
Kristen Cantara Oliveira, present. And we have 3 open seats. Can I get a roll call for the Historical Commission meeting?
Connie Stoll, present.
Rick Mancini, present.
Kristen Cantara Oliveira, present. Right now, we are missing 2 of our members, Ruben Amaral and Joyce Rodricks, and we have 2 open seats. Therefore, at this time, we do not have a quorum and we cannot meet on the agenda items for the Historical Commission until one of our members gets here. She is supposed to be coming this evening, so when she does come, we will redo roll call, and then we can address the items pertaining to the Historical Commission. But right now, we will address the items that are pertaining to the Historic District Commission. So can I just get a motion to move that up to the beginning, please?
I'll make a motion to move 518 High Street to,
Right now, to the beginning.
to the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So if you'd like to come down and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Cortland LaValle, 518 High Street.
And I'm Donna LaValle, 518 High Street.
Welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna let you, because I know that you were the one that kind of,
Oh, well,
To
to
go
begin,
over
yeah,
some.
all right.
Okay.
The home is on our 40C district neighborhood, and the structure has a meter socket at this point that's placed on the outside of the building, which is not sightly in keeping the tone of the historic properties that we're overseeing and talking about here. So I guess we could just ask you how that all occurred and what the intention is at this point.
Sure, thank you. Let me say, first of all, my apologies. We actually were told when we bought the house that we didn't fit the criteria for being in a historic district. We were told it was from 1840 to 1920, and the house was built in 1928. So we didn't realize that we were actually subject to the historic district, or being a house of historical significance. But obviously, we've learned since then.
so can I ask who told you that?
Actually, the previous owner.
So the previous owner actually agreed to be in the 40C district. That's how the house ended up. So there is a protected district called the 40C, so it's, your house is pretty much like smack dab in the middle of it. And it's not about the age of the home. And I know that when the house was, it was advertised for sale, everywhere it was advertised as a historical home. So,
That's all, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just telling you how we saw it, because that's how it was related to us.
Yeah.
And did your agent make any mention?
No,
The
not at all.
agent did not make mention?
Not at all.
well, that's,
But regardless,
Yes.
I just wanted to
Okay.
sort of set the context
Sure.
on that.
okay.
So when we bought the house, or as we were looking at the house, we were told by, the owner, that it was 100 amp service. When we had the inspector come in, he said, well, no, this is actually 65 amp, and of course it was fuse box. was a fused panel actually in the basement. It was basically half the wall of the basement. So one of the first things we wanted to do was upgrade the electrical service to 200 amps.
Can I just say, our insurance company would not allow us to have insurance if we had not done that as soon as we moved into the house.
So, anyhow, we've been going through. We contracted Raymond Mellinson to do the upgrade, and apparently National Grid requires that the meter be moved from the basement to the outside of the house as a part of the upgrade process. And so, and again, Ray thought that, we weren't, and that may be because we thought we weren't either. But regardless, they've gone ahead, they've made the installation. The inspectors have actually looked at it, but they have told him that it's to code, but of course they haven't issued the permit yet because there's this discussion. So the last point, I think, is maybe 2 points. One is, that's the one place on the house, it's right next to where the service comes into the house right now, and so anywhere else would require basically going around to the back of the house which would be a lot of digging, and I think it was a quote Ray, he would basically, I got it somewhere around here. You have that? It might be right on the top, actually. Thank you. And he would be here, but he's out of town, so unfortunately. Basically, there's no other house, in his words, there's no other location on the side other than way back left, which is huge to dig and change. We actually have already commissioned a landscaper to follow through. When we bought the house, all the shrubberies and things like that were overgrown, and so we wanted to just kind of
Make it look better.
Make it look better, yeah. And so part of that landscaping, not deliberately, but it turns out that it will cover that spot, so it won't be visible from the street, and that should hopefully cover the issue with the visibility of the meter and, and its impact on the visibility of the house, or the, the appearance of the house. Because we're thrilled to have a house like this. It's beautiful. Needs a little bit of upgrading, but we're happy to do that. And we've repainted the house since we got there. Deliberately kept it within, in keeping with the design of the neighbors, so that it fits in. And we wanted to look great. And we're going to be doing landscaping to improve the whole look of the house, but also that'll hide the meter, so there should not be a problem.
Okay. The utility company recommends meters go on the outside of a building. They're not the authority enforcing the code. The authority enforcing the code in Massachusetts is the local inspector. And the utility company, I can't speak for them, mind you, but that's for convenience. They can pull the meter out, they can work on it, they can service it, etc. But there's no real enforcement that requires a meter to go outside. And the meter is read electronically today, so there's no need to go and physically read the meter from the utility company. So the historic homes in the 40C and any other historic home falls under certain categories that exempt you from a lot of items that you would normally do with today's building code. Right? Such as, I'm just thinking of handrails. You would think a handrail has to be 42 inches in order to be placed on a porch. Well, if the home is a historic home, it matches the existing or matches the sill of the windows, those types of things, and they're plausible to be installed in that fashion due to the historic requirements of the code, the Mass Historic Commission. So with a little bit of forethought, probably, the electrical contractor or whomever was instrumental in making that decision should have said, well, why don't we just put them, I'm speaking on myself, speaking out, it's the approach I would have taken, would have been to get the utility company and say, look, it's historic property. We're not going to be allowed to put a meter socket on the outside of the front of that building. You can put it on the sides or out of sight, that would be fine. And then just negotiate with the utility company, and we also, as a commission, would be standing behind you and saying, yes, here it is, Mass Historic Commission, Florida Historic Commission, da-da-da-da-da, on, and would have given you all that support, and the meter would have been kept inside. You could still upgrade your system to 100 amp, 200 amp service, would have been not an issue. So I'm just trying to give you what my thought process is at this point. And again, the authority enforcing the code in this particular situation is the local electrical inspector or, building department. So,
Okay, so,
and was the utility company approached and stated, this is a historic home, we would like to put the meter on the inside? There is some precedent where that has occurred, not with this utility company, but with a local utility company in Massachusetts. That same thing, they wanted it on the outside, and this was a historic home, couldn't do it. And a little bit of negotiation, they ended up putting the meter socket on the inside of the home, and all was fine, so.
wish we had known back then.
That we were in the historic
Yeah,
district.
no, I mean, honestly, that our issue, I guess you can say our excuse is that we literally didn't realize that we fit within that particular thing. I think we're actually the last house that's actually sits within the boundaries of the
No.
of the 40C.
On
On
that-
our side,
on
yeah,
that
on our
street,
street.
they
I
are.
have the map. It's,
They
we're the last house, and we're character-wise quite a bit different than all the rest of our large Victorian neighbors who have, gorgeous, I mean, it's a beautiful house, but it seems somewhat different. That notwithstanding, I take your point. I think, we would have done things differently, because I'm sure it's, for us, was more expensive and more work to have them drill through the foundation and, put the meter on the outside. And it's all ready to go, once National Grid still has to make the connection to the box that we've had installed in the front of the house. There's in the yard. I guess the question I have is our proposal to have screening, vegetation, landscaping to ensure that, the box doesn't.
Well, the issue, in my opinion, is that next year that plant could fail, or in 2 years that landscaping could be changed and opened up, and then that all would be visible again, so.
Could, but I don't, that's not our intention. Our intention is to, to have this landscaping put in place so that it will really help make the house look better. I mean, when we came, the
Yeah.
bushes in the front were literally halfway up the window, so, I mean, I couldn't look out and see the street, so it would be a much more.
And it's
We-
honorable that you're doing this, that you're trying to restore and keep the property in historic condition. I mean, that's commendable. Thank you for that.
We intend to live in this house. We're hoping this is our very last move. Our grandchildren live close. We intend to live in this house for quite a few years. We're not planning to remodel it and then, turn around and sell it.
Definitely not.
At this point, I mean, they could pull it back in. They could pull it back into the property, and that's really what you should be doing.
Right.
We could talk to Ray and see what that,
Well, how much is it going to cost?
Well, I agree, Connie, and I think that's what I'm was leading up to. If you know, we cannot enforce what you do. I mean, we can't, I don't mean that. I mean, we can't mandate that you go out and expend this money and things. That's not what we're here for. We're here to try and work with the historic conditions, work with the property, work with the neighborhood, work with you. But I would, if I was in your position, I would get a hold of your electrical contractor, talk to the building inspector, electrical inspector, and get the utility company there. And
I mean, your contractor should have pulled a permit to do the work.
Yeah,
He
we've
did.
got the permits, yeah. That part was not an issue, so.
And was it explained on the permit what the plan was?
no.
Do you know? No.
I mean.
Well, we haven't seen the
just-
permit.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
leave it to them to do it. They've been doing a great job in upgrading the rest of the house. There's been a lot of work that's had to been done. And I think the other question is, do you know for certain that National Grid would be subject to these, these restrictions that you
The
just described?
authority enforcing the code is the electrical inspector.
Okay,
And the electrical code and the code in Massachusetts does not tell you that you're required to put the meter outside. It does have to be a certain height off the ground. It has to be away from travel so that it doesn't get damaged.
so it's currently
but-
installed in the basement, below ground. It's
Mhm.
significantly below grade, so are you proposing then that we're gonna put it into one of our rooms in the
Oh,
main
no,
house?
no. The meter would stay in the basement. That could remain.
Okay,
Instead of the meter going outside, it can, when the meter's placed outside, I was just saying that there are code requirements,
Mhm.
that it has to be off the grade level, a certain height. But in a basement, that's fine. You keep that up off the ground 4 or 5 feet, that's fine.
okay. So we can certainly talk with Ray. He can talk to the inspector. They can talk to the contractors.
Yes.
But what's our recourse if basically National Grid says, no, you can't measure, for example, if it's read electronically, I'm suspects that the thick foundation as well as the ground actually makes that not possible with the meters down in the basement. I'm sure it has to be up high enough to be able to.
They would have to move it into the back.
And now you're talking about significant increase in the investment, which, I mean, I appreciate the concern, but I would much rather, warrant that I'll keep the bushes, there so that it's hidden, or we can repaint so that it blends in with the rest of the house. I mean, there's a number of ways of disguising it, but this was actually a necessary improvement in the house, because 65 amps is not sufficient for a modern house, and actually, is dangerous. So the value of the house, the safety of the house is actually improved significantly by increasing to 200 amps. If the only way we can do that is to have this meter be hiding behind some bushes, then I think that's not a lot to ask, frankly.
Just thinking off the top of my head, in my own experience, I think the meters can be read within the basement. My electric meters, I have 2, are in my basement. I have a solid granite foundation, and the house was built in 1914, and it's read from the street.
Great.
So I don't think there should be an issue reading it from the basement level.
And I've got the same situation. I'm not that far from you. I have an old, one was built in 1897. And I have a large thick granite foundation. I mean, they read them digitally, and a lot of it's read electronically through the cabling.
Through the cable.
It's not done electronically to a device on the meter.
There's a little thing on our window. I think it's how it's read.
Okay.
My recommendation would be to, if you're looking for recommendations, is to get a hold of the utility company. I wouldn't, I'd volunteer, as I'm sure the rest of us would, to meet with the utility company and the inspector if you wish, to help you get through this. But my position is that not be placed in that location.
Can I just ask one question? There's something about a 30-day rule that projects can't be delayed for more than 30 days. Is that true in the historic district, or is that the other part that's not historic district? You heard of this? I mean,
I'm not familiar with it.
You've never heard of a 30-day rule?
And we're not delaying it for 30 days. We sent you notice that there was a probable issue. You're here at the meeting. The next step would be to get with the utility companies. There's no delay here. But that doesn't, that's not the same as what we're doing here.
Okay.
That doesn't apply to this type of arrangement, to the best of my knowledge.
All right, thank you.
Do you know how to contact us if it's necessary?
I would probably go through Carrie, I presume.
Unless you think there's a better way for us to contact you.
Sure.
Do you want to be the contact person on?
No, are we taking a vote on this at this point, or what are we doing? Are we taking a vote?
We can.
We
should.
should.
Okay.
We should take a vote as to what our standing is on
Yes.
this particular situation.
Okay.
All right.
And
Well,
do
I can
you,
make the
if you
motion.
want to be the contact person too, you need to give them your information.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, I can do that.
Well, I'll make the motion then to have the meter removed from the front of the property and placed back into the basement or the back of the house.
Or some other reasonable location.
Yes.
Acceptable to the 40C district,
Correct.
okay?
After a meeting with the contractor and the electric company. So, I mean, I think everybody needs to have this conversation together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Because we can't move it if the electrician says we can't move it.
Well, the
Or if the electric company
electrician-
says that's where they require it. Yeah.
Well, it would be the electrical inspector.
Yes. Not the electrician.
No, I'm not, it's not the
No, I didn't-
electrician.
yeah.
It's the National Grid really is the.
Actually, it's
issue.
the electrical
The
He keeps
inspector
saying
has
it's the
authority
inspector.
enforcing the code, not the utility company.
Mm.
Their jurisdiction terminates at the first point of attachment. So on an outside service, it's that point of attachment where it's at the home, and there's a weatherhead, it's where the cable attaches. That's the utility company's property, and that they have authority. And that weatherhead down belongs to the homeowner. And the authority enforcing the codes for all of that, including meter socket, meter, et cetera, is all up to the inspector or the authority enforcing the code. In this case, in some towns, it's the fire department. In this case, we have certified electrical inspectors, certified through the state, who make those decisions.
Interesting. It's curious, just simply because I'm sure Ray didn't add on
Yes.
all this extra work just because he likes to do extra work. So
Well,
I'm
his
curious
note
as
says the
whether-
electrical inspector is ready to pass it as it meets the code requirements, so.
It meets the code requirements. It doesn't meet the 40C district requirements.
Okay.
Well, and I guess the question is, if those two are mutually exclusive, then that's where we're going to run into a challenge.
Thank you.
Would you like me to meet with you? When you do, I'll get off the microphone here.
Well, we need to, can we just vote? She made a
Oh, I'm
motion.
I made a
That's
motion,
true.
so there's a motion on the
I'll follow
table
that.
for,
Yes, I'll second that motion. That's the motion that situation get clarified and that the meter not be placed in the
In
front
front
of
of the
that
house.
building. Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
so we'll wait for Greg to come back and then we'll move on.
Thank you.
Okay, so, moving on, the next item that we can discuss for the Historic District Commission is under old business, A, merger of the Historical Commission and Historic District Commission. So, Jason, I believe you were gonna check into this?
Yes, I checked in
Okay.
with Counselor Liberty.
Yep.
And she has said that she contacted Corporation Counsel.
Yep, Attorney Ramsey, yep.
And so I believe he has signed off on everything. She is in the process of scheduling an ordinance committee meeting, and I think that should be it.
Perfect.
Mm.
Hopefully this
Wonderful news.
happens, because of it not being, so, and this is why we have two commissions that are working short. And as we can see right now, the problem is we have people that are here for a meeting and we are short a person, and until that person comes, we cannot continue with that meeting, and it leaves us in a bind. So that's why it really is important that this happens, because it will be 3 months in March. 3 years in March, when we started the process of merging the two commissions. So 3 years is a really long time to have to wait for this.
Mhm.
So
I know you called earlier, Joyce, and the phone was busy.
I'm gonna try
Try
again, when we adjourn, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna
Okay.
try calling, and then hopefully
Okay, and then
we'll.
maybe we could do it through a telephone conversation with her. Would that work?
I don't know. Okay, so what we can do is we can move on to new business. We can discuss the dates
Well, we could do the preservation guideline
for,
update.
I'm sorry, the preservation guidelines update, yes. So we did hear from Dominique on the preservation guidelines, and she is going to be sending something. I know she was gonna send it earlier, and she's had some family issues, so she's working on it, and she did say, I think by next week, she was gonna be sending, was it next week in the email?
I didn't see the email.
Oh, okay. I believe it's by next week she's gonna be sending us a rough draft of the first rough draft of everything for us to look over. And then we'll go from there. And next up, so dates for the 2022 meetings. We have been meeting on the third Tuesday
Mhm.
of every month at 6 o'clock. Do we want to continue?
Yeah.
Does that work for?
I think so.
Okay,
We change it when necessary, or if we have to meet
right,
a special meeting.
right, but just to keep it at our regular, so that we can just
Yeah.
request those from the city clerk's office and have that,
Yeah,
okay,
that works.
okay. Anything for open discussion for this group? Anything I need to know? Rick, anything? No?
I'm fine.
Okay. So as of yet, we don't have a date chosen for the January. I will see if the third Tuesday will be available. As far as I know, the other groups seem to be keeping their meetings on the same days. So we will, we'll plan on it being the third Tuesday in January. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the Historic District Commission meeting? It is 6:36 PM right now.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna see if we can get the other member here.